Casino Radio 106.3 J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that celebrates the people across this great state. Of course, we're focused on coastal Mississippi, but man, there are so many amazing people across this state that are working not only to make coastal Mississippi a better place to live, work, and play, but also to make Mississippi a better place to live, work, and play. Today we have a great show. We're gonna have a terrific visit with my friend Stacey Pickering, who's the executive director of the Mississippi Veterans Affairs, and we're going to have Dr. Conger back, who's an infectious disease doctor at Memorial, and continue the conversation about the Delta variant and what's happening. It is incredibly alarming. It's incredibly alarming, and we just got to be focused on that. Before we do that, let's get over to my friend Cal Curley, the producer of Coast Vue and my partner in crime. And first of all, just say good morning. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Hey, listen, right off the bat, I just want to say I really enjoyed that visit with Brittany Willem yesterday, 27-year-old entrepreneur, CEO of Blocks Building. They're doing modular homes or modular hunting camps, really a cool company, but they do some other companies as well. But I really enjoyed it. We're lucky in coastal Mississippi to have so many families who are focused on sort of creating this sort of entrepreneurial DNA in their kids. And you know, as a result of that, we have some thriving businesses here. It's pretty inspiring, isn't it?
It really is to see it just passed down from generation to generation. You want to pass down good qualities about yourself. And even if you kind of didn't really have that quality in you at the beginning of your life, or in the beginning of when you're transitioning from school to out into the work world, you can make things better and then make the next generation better, and kind of, don't do as I did, do what I, preaching now.
Well, Kyle, I mean, look, come on now. You're always modest, the jack of all trades, IT, operations, the voice, you play the music in the Superdomes during Saints games. You produce this show. You do voice for multiple stations. Come on. You're a great example of that.
Well, I mean, I try. I know a lot about everything, but not enough about any one of them.
Well, no, you're the glue that keeps the stations together. I can tell you that. Hey, listen, before I go over to Stacey, let's real quick. We got to pay attention to the tropics. It's still, still got several days. Things could still shift a little bit more to the west. We don't know. I mean, currently right now in coastal Mississippi is like on the outside barrier, but it's a really important point here that we need to make, and that is just be prepared. Don't focus just on this storm. It's hurricane season. It's time to be prepared.
It is. And, no matter how far it gets into the Gulf or it goes closer to Florida than it does to Alabama, you just never know what these storms are going to be like. You never know where the rain is going to be. We've seen storms where it's heavy on the front side and just wind on the backside. And we've seen them totally the opposite. So it's been, it's different every time. You just got to be prepared for it and really start watching it. I would probably say by Sunday, you'll have a better idea on where it's going to go.
Never discount a storm. Never discount a storm. Hey, listen, thank you, my friend. I appreciate what you do for this show. Hey, look, we're going to move over now to Stacey Pickering, who's the executive director of the Mississippi Veterans Affairs. And let me just say, first of all, good morning. It's good to see you, my friend.
Hey, Ricky, good to be with you this morning. Absolutely.
Well, we're going to remind people what it is you do. And I always like to remind people about the military presence really across the state. But before we do that, let's chat for a second about the Delta variant and COVID. What's the latest there? How are you guys doing with vaccines and all of that? Talk to me about what you're thinking these days.
Well, the COVID-19, the big story, we all know it, but the Delta variant has put it right back on the front burner. We have 600 nursing home beds for veterans. So that's the population of high risk population that we care for and we fight. And at the height of the pandemic last year, we had a couple of hundred out of 600 who were infected with the virus. We had 95 veterans die from COVID related symptoms and illness. And everybody wants to go, well, something else killed them. They had morbidity. You look at 85, 95-year-old veterans who are broken down, high blood pressure, COPD. You go down the litany of the list, and all of a sudden they get this virus that affects their breathing. It affects their, congestion, their achiness, their soreness, and they're getting pneumonia. That's enough to kill them, and that's what happened. We had 95% of our veterans in our homes got the vaccine in January when it rolled out the very first weekend. Mm-hmm. We've had 0 deaths since then. So my message is real clear, Ricky. The vaccine works. You may still get the virus. Like right now, I've got family members who fully vaccinated have got the Delta variant. It's highly contagious, but they've had little or no symptoms. It's not deadly. But prior to the vaccine, this vaccine was killing a lot of unvaccinated people because there was not an option. Now we have a way to protect lives, to make sure we prevent spreading it. Wear your mask whenever you're out in public. Distance yourself if you're around people you don't know who they are or where they've been, and get the vaccine. It's that simple.
You're in an interesting position because you have a deep understanding of the military. The military is obviously required the vaccination, but I mean, come on now. They require a lot of shots when you go into the military.
I've had anthrax. I've had smallpox. I get the flu shot every year because the military tells me I have to, and that's required. And so this is really no difference. And everybody goes, well, it's unproven. You know what? We have defeated polio because we developed a vaccine and use it. You got a vaccine now that if you do get this Delta variant, it will not be as severe. You'll bounce back from it and get on with your life, and you won't affect and hurt anyone else, possibly killing them. We've got to be smart. We can't shut down our economy like we did. That's the craziest thing we could do, is everybody shut back down and go home and damage businesses and livelihoods. But we have to be smart of how we live our lives right now.
Yeah, what's interesting, and I talk about it on the show all the time, and it's really unfortunate, but there's a sort of a political dimension to this vaccine, which is really unfortunate, I might add, because, the last thing that should be politicized is something like a pandemic. That's unfortunate.
Just healthcare.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the healthcare dimension for sure. Literally, hospitals across the state are literally busting at the seams, having to turn people away, having to stop, certain kinds of surgery. It's really incredible what's happening. But then on top of that, and the thing that probably makes me the craziest, is the lack of accurate information out there. Whether, I think a lot of misinformation is being shared over YouTube and Facebook and all these different places. Some of it's being directed, according to the State Department, from Russia and China, and a lot of propaganda, is literally about trying to create division. My goal is not to try to analyze all that, but just to understand that it's there, and then just focus on bringing people in who are really good leaders in the community like yourself, and just trying to give them the best information that we have. Just give them, and then people are going to decide.
What do we know? What are the facts?
Exactly. What do we know? What do we know? And what you know, and what Kent Nico at Memorial knows, and what Lee Bond at Singing River Hospital knows, and what Dr. Conger, who's going to be following you on the show today, knows, is that when you're vaccinated, while you may be able to get Delta, it probably will keep you out of the ICU and out of the morgue. If you're unvaccinated, you have a very good chance. Look, I was just blown away by the stats coming out of Singing River Hospital, the number of people who are in the ICU and the number of people who are on ventilators. It's unbelievable. And this is all across the state.
We are, and there's so many of our fellow Mississippians, and it's not that they're bad, but they bought into this narrative, and I'm not going to get vaccinated, not realizing that if you get this virus, it is deadly. It does impact you that way. And this is not some myth. It's not some narrative that's out there politically. It is a reality. Because like I said, we had 95 veterans died from this virus before the vaccine. 95% of our residents got vaccinated, and we've had 0 deaths from the virus since January in our nursing homes for veterans. Now the problem is ICUs are full. So if I have a veteran who has a health problem who needs to be hospitalized, we may not be able to get him in a hospital in Collins or Kosciuszko, Jackson, Oxford, and eventually here on the coast, because there's not a bed because it's being taken up by people with COVID.
I wish, again, I worry about sort of the political calculus that's being made around the pandemic. And let me just, we're not going to go into all of that now, but I just want to thank you. You've been involved sort of on the political scene for many years. You're in a leadership role now at the Mississippi Veterans Affairs, and I really appreciate your willingness to kind of simplistically speak to the facts and being willing to urge people to get vaccinated. For some reason, some people are just hesitant to urge people to get vaccinated. We're not saying force them to get vaccinated. We're just saying do your research and urge people to get vaccinated. And I appreciate you being willing to do that, Stacey.
Well, thank you. And I think, again, it's just common sense. It's what's the fact. Again, taking a look anecdotally, here are the facts of the effectiveness of the vaccine. And if something's going to be that effective, I want to do that. And I hope my neighbors and family and friends that have not got vaccinated will hear that and get vaccinated to protect themselves and their neighbors and themselves. And that way we can bounce back and we can keep going out to eat at restaurants. We can keep going shopping and go to events.
Well, when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with the Executive Director of Mississippi Veterans Affairs, Stacey Pickering, and we'll talk more about sort of, what kind of big events are coming up and what else is going on in his world. We'll see you after this break.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here at I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
His love for the coast is why he's here. It's Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. Listen, we have an incredible military presence here in Mississippi. 7 military bases. That doesn't count the incredible and significant presence of the Air National Guard here, for example, here in Gulfport at the Gulfport Combat Readiness Training Center. You've got a spattering of, of course, we have Keesler Air Force Base, Naval Station Pascagoula, Naval Construction Battalion in Gulfport, which is the CB base. But we have a spattering of other military presence just across the coast. And that's not to mention the United States Coast Guard, for gosh sake. I mean, what they do every day is incredible. And so coming back to you, Stacey, this is Stacey Pickering, the Executive Director of Mississippi Veterans Affairs. We've talked about this before, but Gulfport and really coastal Mississippi is recognized in the very, very top tier of communities in the nation where military veterans pick to live. We've worked for that. I mean, it has to do with the hospital systems that are part of the military here. It has to do with the incredible quality of life here. Obviously, there's a lot of measurements that they've looked at, but you spent a lot of your time focusing on letting veterans know, come home to Mississippi or come to Mississippi. This is a great place to retire, isn't it?
Absolutely. 30% of our veterans in Mississippi live in Harrison, Hancock, and Jackson County. They live on the Gulf Coast. It's a great quality of life. Navy Federal Credit Union did a report and a study that showed Gulfport, the entire Mississippi Gulf Coast, is number 9 in the nation as far as regions where veterans want to live. We've got 9 A-rated school districts. You got hospitals. We have military bases and exchanges and commissaries, the hospital in Keesler. And your cost of living is 9% less here on the coast. Your money goes further, and we don't tax military retirement in Mississippi. We let our veterans keep what they've earned, and it's great for them and their families. So it's a big presence for us. We spend a lot of time here on the Gulf Coast celebrating that, but also bringing in more. And that's one reason we're building a new nursing home for veterans at Tradition. We have, matter of fact, hoping to sign the contracts with Start Construction for here on the Gulf Coast from Ocean Springs. They're going to be doing the contracting for us. Red Starlowski from Ocean Springs is our architects. It's local money being spent here on the coast to serve our veterans. And so we're excited about that.
Well, speaking of, and we're excited about that too, what a terrific opportunity that is for the Gulf Coast to have that veterans home here. But speaking of veterans homes, you guys have a national conference that's going on as we speak.
Yeah, last year we had to cancel our national meeting because of COVID-19, and we were able to step up in that gap and said, look, we want to host the next one. We will do it in Mississippi. We have 29 states here on the Gulf Coast, 5 days, all week long, over 130 participants. It's about 60% of what it used to be because of COVID. Some states still aren't traveling. Some states have COVID outbreaks right now in their nursing homes for veterans, and so they're back home taking care of business. But we've got vendors here with the latest technology of long-term care, from belts. It looks like a little fanny pack, but if you fall, airbags come out to keep you from fracturing your hip. It's the number one thing that kills long-term care residents in nursing homes are fractured hips. And so you see this technology. There's a doorway company that's got ultraviolet lights that 20 seconds you stand in it like you do the TSA at the airport and turn around in it. It kills 99% of all pathogens that are on your body and on your clothing before you go into the home. And so those are the kind of technology of how do we fight COVID. But then other issues, we've got folks that are chair lifts. You don't think about bathing. How do you bathe someone who's incapacitated physically? And these tubs, not only does it walk in, but they pivot, they turn. It helps them with their aspects. And then we're using technology for physical therapy. Large screen, touch screen TVs that are, 50 plus inches wide that residents can do and put together puzzles of family members. And they think it's a game, but really they're moving their arms and their joints and staying active. And so that's what they're doing here this week, is hearing from experts, looking at the latest technology of how we can best serve our veterans in the homes. And most importantly, I've got folks from 29 states bringing in those per diem checks, spending money in Gulf Coast restaurants and all over the coast and shopping. It's a lot of fun to see that happen and be able to bring them here in person on the Gulf Coast.
You know what's exciting about that? You think about sort of the stigma around quote unquote nursing homes, this kind of stigma that exists, that we're getting to end of life. It's not a good place to be. They don't have the latest technology. I mean, that's just, I know that's not the way in most of these homes at all. But what I think you guys are going to be doing through your veterans homes is pushing innovation, pushing technology, pushing sort of end of life things that can be done to increase the quality of life. You just don't accept that these folks are getting, oh, we want to make them comfortable. You're saying they're coming to this retirement home, this veterans retirement home, because the kind of skills that we're going to have present and the kind of technology that we're going to have present is not just going to make them comfortable, it's going to give them every opportunity to enjoy life as much as they possibly can. That really motivates you, doesn't it?
Well, one of our big missions between our ultimately 5 homes and 700 beds in Mississippi for veterans is not just to warehouse and take care of end of life. We want them to have a high level of dignity, a high level of functionality, so that they can enjoy their family members, they can enjoy their life. We take them out, we do transportation, like here on the coast. We'll be visiting casinos. We will be going to museums. We will be getting out. And of course, for most of our guys, one of their biggest things is to go to Walmart. They love to people watch. They love to say hello. And we'll bring a bus load and unload it right there at the front door. They can do their own personal shopping. But also, you've got church groups and VFWs and American Legions that come in. We do bingo. We do concerts. It really is about the dignity and care and the respect our veterans and their family members deserve. And Ricky, we've been doing this. Our staff does a great job. We use a company called Pinnacle, and all 4 existing veterans homes in Mississippi are not just above the national average. We are best in class. We score top 15% nationwide on customer satisfaction. Family members and the residents all tell our company that we are the best at what we do on quality of food service, laundry, physical therapy, nursing care, communication. Mississippi veterans homes are in the top 15% of all nursing homes in the nation.
That is so awesome. That is so, because when you talk about that, when you first of all, you do it so enthusiastically and so passionately and so focused. It helps kind of dispel some myths about how that is. And I'll be honest with you, it's so important what you're doing that maybe it will push some of the private companies that are not focused on veterans and maybe even some of the state homes to kind of raise their bar a little bit and to be focused on not just making people comfortable in the end of life, but giving them every opportunity in the world to live out their life with the highest possible quality of life they can possibly have. What is it that motivates you to stay so focused on raising that bar?
Ricky, it's the mission, and I tell my staff and our partners, our employee partners, and our vendors, our partners, there's no greater mission than to care for your neighbor, but especially for our veterans who raised their right hand. They took the oath of office. Some of them have combat injuries. I've got one of our residents, and he loves to tell the story. He was wounded and carried off a hill in Vietnam doing a retreat action, rear action guard, and he winds up getting injured. His radio operator winds up dying and posthumously gets the Medal of Honor. This guy comes, they bring him off, and when they're bringing him off the mountain in Vietnam, they all think he's dead or dying. They stand up, they salute him, and he's recovered, goes on to become executive vice president of an auto parts company, nationally known, and he's a resident in our home. And I've got truck drivers that are there that they never saw combat. They were Cold War veterans, but yet maybe they have injuries or issues related to their service, and we bring them all together. They get in, it's a great mission that we have, to answer your question. And I want everyone we can to be a part of that, caring for our veterans and saying thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. Listen, I'm going to shift gears, and I want to come back to the vaccine real quick in the short time we have left. I was at my place in the Delta this weekend, had conversation with some of my neighbors, and I have to be honest with you, some of the most troubling conversations I've ever had. And they're good people, and I love them. They're religious, they care a lot, but they have not gotten the vaccine, nor have their parents who are in their 70s. And I'm thinking to myself, tell me why. And as they articulate, like point by point, like 90% of their argument is completely misinformation. It's complete misinformation. Well, you're a former statewide official. What do we need to do to combat that?
First and foremost, I think every elected official, local, statewide, and even in D.C., our congressional delegation, stop politicizing this. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue. We need to keep the economy open. We need to keep kids in school. They learn better with other students and that dynamic. But to do that, We have to protect all of ourselves. And the way we do that is with the vaccine. The vaccine works. You and I talked earlier. I've had 0 COVID-related deaths since the vaccination in January. We had 95 before that. And that's about what you saw nationwide in veterans' homes. And so understand what the facts are. These are safe. A Republican president and administration fast-tracked and oversaw the development of these vaccines. A Democrat president and administration is pushing it out now. When you got Republicans and Democrats all pushing and all working on this, it's something is right. That is not some grand conspiracy. This is just the right thing to do.
It is, and you said that so well, Stacey Pickering. I really appreciate your leadership on this, and for being willing to just say it. There is a lot of common sense. Now, I know that some people who listen to this, they're going to say it's everything but common sense, and they'll give you all these facts, and they'll send you some YouTube videos saying, "Listen to this. Listen to the first 3 minutes of this." We got to stop that. I mean, 99% of the doctors on earth say this is what we need to do.
Look, I will tell you real quick. I know we're running up on time. I served at USAFE, U.S. Air Force Europe, 4-star General's Command, and we have a briefing 3 years ago, and an intel officer said deep fakes and misinformation is the largest national security threat that we face. It's not the Russians, not the Chinese, the people with guns. It's the guys with keyboards around the globe who are doing misinformation, and that's what we're falling prey to. And I think we've got to be smart about it.
We definitely do. We definitely do. When we come back, we have Dr. Nicholas Conger.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop,
Desktop or on your phone or tablet.
by going to supertalkmsgulfcoast.com.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and, all this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on Super Talk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I really enjoyed that conversation with Stacey Pickering. He's doing such a fine job. He's a great leader. And I love the way he talks about the vaccine. He just says it's common sense. Just look at the numbers. Don't forget about all this noise. Just focus on what the experience is at the local hospitals, and that's enough. And what he said about what's happening at the veterans home, that 95 had died of COVID-19, and since they got vaccinated, none have died from COVID. Just think about that for a second. And this is in a class of age group and comorbidity that you would think that some might slip through, but their experience has been incredible. And it's just, he said, just common sense. We can't tell you you have to get it, but man, you should really think about it. And to have more conversation about the latest as it relates to Delta is my friend Dr. Nicholas Conger, who's been on the show. I forgot how many times now, Nick, but I really appreciate your willingness to come on a regular basis. I think maybe this has been 3 weeks in a row now, but we're in a dire circumstance, aren't we?
Yeah, and thanks for having me back. And things are changing, and I always say I do my best to give the best information I have at that time. And boy, we learn more and more things about this virus every day. But, this is this variant is highly contagious. And, we've said before, people are either going to get vaccinated or catch the infection. And with this variant being so contagious, the second half of that statement, everyone's going to catch it, is coming true quickly.
Well, Dr. Dobbs has been saying repeatedly, I have a brother-in-law who's in the pharmaceutical business. They had a conference call with Dr. Dobbs recently. He's been obviously talking to, business leaders and then, obviously press. And he says that this thing could go for another 12 or more weeks. If you just do the exponential math on that, if you think about where the hospitals are at this current moment, across this state, busting at the seams with COVID patients. How concerned are you about capacity going forward?
Well, certainly this one had a very fast, rapid onset. And so, they have pushed us to capacity limits. We've expanded our ICU. Now, we had plans to do it if this happened. And so that contingency plan was there and we put it into place. So definitely, if it continues to exponentially rise for 12 weeks, I don't know if I can fathom that. I do think it's going to plateau a little bit faster than that just because it's burning through so fast. And the faster it comes on, we saw that in India and in England, it's kind of dropped like a rock after a certain point. And I do hope that happens here soon, sooner than 12 weeks. But man, I just don't put my prediction hat on with COVID because you just don't know.
You don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. So let's come back to reality. What's happening today at the hospital?
Well, the last couple of days we've averaged about 75 patients in the hospital with COVID. Now, remember, a few months ago we had, less than 7. So there's a significant number. And we are seeing people coming in younger, but that may also be a reflection that those are the unvaccinated. I think you mentioned, some of these nursing homes, it's getting into these nursing homes again, but we're not seeing near the admissions before. Before, if we got in a nursing home, we could expect almost every patient in that nursing home at one point to be admitted to the hospital. We hardly see any of it. So it is still largely driven by the unvaccinated. But some people get really sick and they stay here for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's definitely filling up the hospital.
It's really a shame. So there's a lot of, you and I have talked about this, but trying to sort through the information is sometimes difficult because there's a lot of propaganda out there, a lot of YouTube videos and stuff that really are designed to throw people off and convince them that the vaccines are poison and all this other junk that you've heard about. And then actually there's a whole nother school of thought. And it's really with some very intelligent people who debate certain aspects of the disease. And so it's really kind of hard for the average person to consume it all. And they tend to be really influenced by the people who are closest to them, or maybe in their Facebook feed, the people that they're talking to there. But I bet you still have to, sort of battle this every day, just trying to get sort of a practical view toward this situation to people so they quit because they're so misled by misinformation. How much does that sort of occupy your day?
Yeah, that occupies a lot of my day, and you make a really good point. You can do research and gather information, and you can present people with that information, but information is rarely presented nowadays without a spin, without an interpretation of it. And so are you going to spin it towards vaccination, against vaccination, towards masks, against masks? All the information comes with a spin, and it's out there for everyone to consume in real time, which is not how medicine has traditionally worked. We used to have to go to a medical library that was separate from other libraries and have access to a database to pull articles that were written a few years ago, and that was being up to date on a disease process. Now these things are being churned out in real time, and it's really hard to know which ones are valid science and invalid science. And you really have to sometimes just ignore the headline, because the headline is almost always a spin on the data, and just look at the data. And then people trying to interpret that, people coming up with their own interpretations, getting things out there on the internet through all these different media. It's really difficult. I don't blame people for being confused.
I don't blame people for being confused, but I've repeated this many times on my show, but you've on a couple of our past visits together, you talked about bedside regret. And that's a really important point to make, that so many unvaccinated people who end up in the hospital that you're dealing with, they do have bedside regret. They wish they had gotten vaccinated. And do you continue to hear that?
Oh, definitely. There was an article on one of the major news sites about it, where one of the guy's last words was, "I wish I got the damn vaccine," and then asked his loved ones to spread it. So yeah, we are definitely in, and we are seeing people rush to get vaccinated. I do think that there was a subset of people who, and some of them were anti-vaccine, some of them were just, hey, let's wait a little longer and see, let's give it a year. Some people, I saw something the other day that said like 30% of people who are unvaccinated are waiting for it to be approved. And that's another thing we can talk about. It's been sitting on the FDA's desk since May. Pfizer has, and then Moderna's 2 weeks behind. Why? Why haven't they approved it? I think that they're safe. I don't think that there's any hidden data. And so, and so some people were waiting for that. And then this wave comes through that's so contagious that they're like, okay, I'm going to go get it anyway. We see a lot of people in the hospital who got their vaccine within a day or two of catching COVID. And it's like, dang, just didn't go fast enough, But even then, they tend to have slightly milder illness because they gave their body a 2 or 3 day head start. So it's not too late to go out and get vaccinated.
It's not too late to get vaccinated, and that's what about 99% of the doctors on earth say. This is the best way to fight the pandemic. That is for sure. It is interesting that people are still in this quandary about whether to get the vaccine or not. Now, I know I read this study that said about, 12 or so % of the people are just not going to change their mind, but you still have a lot of people who are undecided. I think I call it a little bit of the whiplash effect. Here's what happened. We came out of COVID, things kind of died down, economy opened back up, people were going back out again, people were getting vaccinated, some weren't getting vaccinated. We're living our lives. And suddenly, like Delta, we heard about it off in the distance, but suddenly it appeared and it just spread like wildfire, and people got a little bit of whiplash from that. They weren't adjusting themselves. In fact, this darn thing is so contagious, more contagious than last time. All of the things that you did to protect yourself and your family back then, you should be doing today as well. With the key, one of those things being the vaccine. You say that over and over and over again, don't you?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people younger, healthier people in their 30s and 40s kind of have the attitude of, oh, well, all the older people are getting vaccinated, which was good. They should have been first in line to get vaccinated. And maybe there's enough natural immunity that I might be able to get through this. And there was a chance, that they may have been able to get through it without catching COVID and without getting the vaccine and to just kind of let it ride. But then, like I said, this highly contagious variant comes through. And no, you got to make a choice. You either get vaccinated or you're going to catch this thing. Because, they say the average person infects 4 to 6 people. And, we're seeing everybody that's around somebody gets infected. So
it's not good. And what happens is, and you and we've chatted about this many times before, but the stress that this puts on the healthcare system has been truly remarkable, hasn't it?
Yeah. There's a shortage of nurses, and this has just heightened that. Nurses are leaving to become travel nurses because the pay is better. They're getting burnt out. Doctors are getting burnt out. Nurse practitioners are getting burnt out. I mean, it does. It puts a stress on the system. And, the lab, not to mention the lab people, the people that have to get us supplies, it's random. You go to a room, it's random what shape, size, and color the gloves are because they're just getting gloves from all over the world. It's just everyone's affected by it. And we all thought it was kind of going away. And let me make the point. COVID's not going to go away. That's the other thing is expectations. And I wish the national groups did a better job of this. COVID's not going to go to zero. We need COVID to get low enough so it doesn't impact our lives and impact our hospital, how many people are in beds, et cetera, with such wide swings. But it's not going to go to zero. We are going to be living in a world with COVID that comes with some regularity. But man, we got to figure out a way to avoid these huge spikes for sure.
Well, when we come back with Dr. Nicholas Conger, infectious disease doctor at Memorial Hospital, we'll continue the conversation. I want to talk about a story that came out that you and I discussed before the show about vaccinated people spreading COVID-19 Delta variant as easily as unvaccinated. At least that's the headline. And we're talking about the mask, just a normal mask versus the N95 and so on. And you point out we're not going to mask our way out of this. Everybody needs to get a vaccine. That's the thing we need to do the most. But we'll come back with Dr. Nicholas Conger after this break.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Dale Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera slips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Dr. Nicholas Conger with us. He's an infectious disease internist at Memorial Hospital. And you know what I've said about you, Nick, for the past year, well over a year that you and I have been having these conversations on Coast View, is that one of the things that makes this confusing is that with every variant, there are sort of new characteristics that we have to contend with. And so while it may look like the CDC is constantly changing its mind, the truth is they're constantly learning new things. And you point out before on the last show that I think the CDC does themselves a misjustice when they sort of issue an edict of some sort, and they don't give you the data behind it. The data follows a week later or 2 weeks later. It's but you know what? At the end of the day, things are just moving so rapidly. It's sometimes hard to sort through all of the information. How do you keep up with what's going on?
Well, I try to keep up by reading these articles and trying to get out of it, like I say, the data out of it, short of someone else's interpretation. And I try to interpret it through the lens of what I am experiencing with the patients that we see every day, and that's just the best we can do.
Yeah. So let's come back to this. This is the headline, CDC. This is what CDC: vaccinated people spread COVID-19 Delta variant as easily as unvaccinated. Do you see? Is that what you see in what you're experiencing?
No, see, I don't see that at all now. So, we'll go back to the basics. The goal of the vaccine is to prevent infection. Now we see a wide variation, but if it prevents infection somewhere between 45 and 85% of people with this Delta variant, then that's good. That's a dead end. They're not going to spread it. I think the article is showing you that people who are vaccinated can have breakthrough infection. Definitely seeing that. The article suggests some of them had really high viral loads. So if you're vaccinated and you have symptoms, you could potentially spread it. That's all that study proves. But I see people who are vaccinated with much, much shorter time of symptoms get better so much faster. And most of them have much lower viral loads. So they are not near the spreaders as a vaccinated person. So while, I think the headline could have been, it's possible for someone who's vaccinated to be contagious, similar to someone who is unvaccinated. The idea that everyone who's vaccinated is just as big a spreader as unvaccinated is patently false.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't work. And you mentioned before that there are some that slip through. For example, autoimmune deficiency. You said if you've had some type of organ transplant or on rejection drugs, that you may, when you got the shot, you may never have actually built up the antibody, and that
That's right.
Yeah.
Now that's different. That's a vaccine failure. Those people can get just as sick. And credit Dr. Lanier and the nephrologists have been finding these kidney transplant patients. About half of them that they got revaccinated had a response, which is great. So we're going to take the other half that didn't respond and try to give them a different vaccine. So we're learning as we go, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned too many people are trying to face mask our way out of this when you believe we should be vaccinating our way out of this. Talk to me about that.
Right. Okay. So let's give an example, because everyone gets so upset with the word mandate. Should it be mandated? Can you force me to do this, force me not do this? And this to me is what it boils down to. If you have 100 unvaccinated people, okay, and you're going to expose them all to COVID, and they're all probably going to catch COVID. If you can, now I lost you. Are you still there?
Yeah, we're here. Go ahead. You can go ahead.
If you can, you got 100 people, you expose them all to COVID, they're all going to catch COVID, okay? If you make all 100 of them wear a mask and they wear kind of a flimsy cloth mask, how many are you going to really prevent? I don't know. It might prevent it a little, but not a whole lot. But if you can convince 10 of those 100 to get vaccinated, how much is that going to stop the spread? Well, I think that's going to stop the spread a lot. And so that's where you get in this debate whether if you're vaccinated and you're healthy and your immune system's good and you're not symptomatic, I don't think you're a spreader. You can probably lose the mask. So the message is get vaccinated, lose the mask. If you pick up 10 of those people to get vaccinated, do you do more of a good to the community than having all 100 of them stay unvaccinated and wear a cloth mask that may not be very effective at all? We talked about these N95. Well, what about N95? See, we don't have all those nuanced answers. So that's why I think we get mired in the word mandate. We need to encourage as many people to get vaccinated, because I think vaccinating 10% of unvaccinated people who normally wouldn't is better for the community. But then again, if you're not going to get vaccinated, you should probably wear a mask, especially if you have symptoms, because you can spread it. So anyway, that's the debate that goes on in my mind. What's going to do the best good to prevent the spread? And I think vaccine clearly better than masks. But if you got nothing else and you're scared to catch a COVID, wear a mask. Wear one that actually works, though, and we talked about those N95s really work.
Well, I see a lot of debates online. Someone said, I'm not getting the vaccine, I'm taking this regimen of vitamins. What's your thoughts about taking vitamins as a way to avoid COVID?
Taking vitamins is good for your body to a certain extent, but it's not going to prevent you from catching COVID. And plenty of people have died on COVID. Everyone in our hospital who's died of COVID has been on vitamins from before they came in through the entire time they've been here. So the vitamins once that process starts, there's not much you can do. So it's good for your health to have good vitamin levels in your body. It's not going to prevent you from getting sick from COVID and dying.
Well, Dr. Nicholas Conger, infectious disease internist at Memorial. First of all, thank you so much for your leadership and for the people who surround you, those amazing heroes that are working every day in this incredibly challenging situation. I hope we can get the message to more people to not listen to all the noise, but just listen to the experts like Dr. Conger, who said your best way of surviving, your best way of avoiding serious illness is to get the vaccine. So give that.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.
All right.